Well, when Sue contacted me about a month ago and invited me to come and share with you all today, I started thinking about, what is it I want to share? What's percolating for me? So I do what I often do is I'll just take it into a time of meditation, and then I'll go to the talk ideas file folder on my computer and just start looking at some of the things I've saved. See what bubbles to the surface. And I came across multiple little stories, metaphors, powerful images, and it really started me down a meditative track of the metaphors that have moved me in my life. And so what do I mean by metaphor? Just a story with a vivid character, images that teach us, that mirror something that may be going on in our lives. I have two little cousins. All of my nieces and nephews are in college or married now, so I have a little 4-year-old and a 6-year-old nephew. And one of their favorite metaphors, though I doubt they would know that it's a metaphor, would be Thomas, the little engine that could. I think I can. But just that image of I think I can, going uphill sometimes at the challenges that we face. One of my favorite children's stories of all times is the Velveteen Rabbit. He just wanted to be real, wanted to be authentic. There's that wonderful little line in the story about, I hope you're loved until your fur's rubbed off. That's a vivid image that we can hold on to. It's a very deep, wonderful kind of love. So, as children and as adults, metaphors have an impact on our life. They help an idea or a concept really land for us. Here are 3 of my favorite metaphors, just to sort of kick us off this morning. New wine in old wineskins. It's a powerful biblical image. If you put new wine in an old wineskin, it's going to crack. It's going to mess with the taste of the wine. So by the same token, putting a new idea in the midst of old ideas is going to cause that same process. So sometimes when we're moving with new ideas, I know when I first found New Thought and Unity, coming from a Southern Baptist background, that was some serious new wine, and it didn't fit with the old wineskin from where I came. Another is the idea of autopilot in an airplane. If you think about it, we think we turn it on and it just takes us exactly where it is that we're going. But the truth of the matter is, autopilot is constant course correction. Course correction, course correction, course correction. It's not a straight line. And that's very much like life. We try things, we step out, we do something, we make a mistake, we do a course correction. That's our life on autopilot. Another that has been very meaningful for me and which really fits with what you talked about last week with Sue, let go and let God, is row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. For the first 40 years of my life, I rowed or swam upstream, at least the first 40. How often are we trying really hard in our lives to make something happen? Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. There's a wonderful song by Karen Drucker called Let Go of the Shore, Let the Water Carry You. So those are just 3 of my favorite metaphors. When I first found Unity, one of the first Sundays, I was in Panama City, Florida, and Reverend Joanne, the minister there, gave a talk on I stand under the waterfall she used this powerful image. She said, imagine yourself standing under a waterfall, the warm water cascading down on you, divine love and abundance there. You're swimming in it. But you can only take in what you can hold. And that started me thinking. Up until the time I found unity, how much divine love and abundance could I take in? How much could I hold at any given moment? And the image came to me of an umbrella standing under the waterfall. No love on me. I'm not worthy. Why would I be worthy? Most of the embedded theology I came to unity with said I was sinful, broken, not worthy. So that was it, the umbrella. Then perhaps moving on to, after some time in unity, a thimble. A thimble, just a thimble of divine love was I worthy of. And at the time, new to unity, it felt like my soul was flooded with divine love. And then the next image that came to me was a sponge, because that was what I became. I started taking the quest and working on some of that embedded theology, looking at the new ideas and how they worked with where I came from. But I soaked it up. And then the next image that came to me was a drinking cup, because I was truly taking it in, but also I was beginning to share it with others in my life. So the image of the cup is something that could be shared. And then finally, when I truly opened myself to it, it was like holding a bucket of divine love and abundance. And you could just shower the people around you. People at work with me wanted to know, what's different? You've changed. You smile a lot more. You're not as angry. So those images, from the umbrella to the bucket and the beyond, really made me start thinking. The metaphor there, the images, were stages of consciousness for me. A process of moving me from not worthy to I am worthy, and I have something to offer this universe. That was my metaphor, my early take on the stages of spiritual growth. And I used it in my first talk to my spiritual community back in 2003. Standing under the waterfall of divine love, how much can I take in? Later, I learned more about the stages of consciousness from a wonderful book by Mary Mannon Morrissey called Building Your Field of Dreams. And I credit that book and the study group at my Unity Church for pushing me over the edge and moving me to a place where I could say, I'm called to be a minister. So, Ernest Holmes says in the book Science of Mind that life must flow through us in order to manifest for us. He said, the only guarantee of our divinity is in its expression in our humanity. In our expression of our humanity. Mary described the stages of consciousness as this: to me, by me, through me, and as me. And I see heads nodding, so it's something you're familiar with. Why me, in which I lived most of my life, and fairly occasionally revisit. So let me stop right there and say these stages of consciousness, it's not about climbing the ladder and living at the top of the ladder. It's just a tool that helps us see when we're stuck somewhere and how taking a higher perspective, letting go and letting God, might move us into a different frame of mind, a different way of being in the world. So the first stage, as Mary talks about it, is the why me. Because it feels like life is happening to us. And we all experience that at times. It's the belief that all of life's circumstances are a function of the world around us. They're happening to us, and that we have no control over it. It makes us an easy candidate for other people's emotions, other people's thoughts, other people's ideologies. Think about it. I can't afford. I'm too old. You know, all of the things have been done to me. They said. It's that victim consciousness that's largely reinforced by, as Charles Fillmore would call it, race consciousness, by the collective consciousness is probably a better term there. It's where we don't really think for ourselves. It's mentation. We're just regurgitating those thoughts that have been with us, that are deeply embedded, or that other people have given us. We're creating our negative future with our own thought cycle until we can let go and let God. This is not meant to be your lot in life, but it requires us to take responsibility for our thinking, to let go. Responsibility means the ability to choose and to be accountable for your actions. Choice requires awareness. So the second stage here is the by me consciousness, the manifestor consciousness. And boy, when I was new to Unity, change your thinking, change your life, wow, it worked. I was amazed. You know, I would drive to work. I had a job that did not feed me whatsoever. And on the way, I would use the affirmations that Reverend Joanne had given us. I am a powerful, creative, spiritual being was one of mine, because I certainly at that time didn't feel like a powerful, creative, spiritual being. But I would say that all the way to work, and I felt different. I showed up different. So that's the by me, the manifester, the make it happen stage, where we learn that our thoughts have a direct relation to our experience and our life. It's where we notice that those negative tapes from the why me stage are running in our head, and we say, whoa, hold on. It's our denials. I deny that this situation or this thought has any power in my life, and I affirm thus. So that's the manifestor consciousness. Now, the challenge with manifestor consciousness, the by me, is that it's really easy sometimes to miss the spiritual dimension that we're experiencing, the deeper dimension. Remember The Secret? You know, there were some wonderful things, and it really opened doors for a lot of people to new thought and to unity. But at the same time, many of us noticed it seemed to be about getting things. Perhaps it was a little too on the materialistic side. So what's the deeper dimension? A lot of times when we deny and affirm in unity, as my friend Reverend Kelly Isola calls it, we do the pink frosting route, where we say, it's all good, it's all God, but we're not really really looking at the deeper, what's going on for us. As Reverend Robert Brummett, one of my teachers at Unity Institute, would say, we're not doing our shadow work. So if I'm truly living in lack, but I'm affirming prosperity, the pink frosting would be, divine love and abundance. There's truth to that. But how am I sabotaging that by saying, I just have in my checkbook, or, I can't afford. It's a sort of a self-sabotage. So when we do our shadow work, we move to the next station, the next stage, which is through me. And there's a lot of our music that fits the use me, the channel consciousness, as I like to call it. Here I am, Lord. Use me. So many wonderful songs. And that channel consciousness is really where the practice of letting go and allowing greater good to operate through you. It's where in a difficult situation you open your heart and you go with it and you become the presence for someone else. It's described most often as being in the zone. And we've all had those spiritual experiences of connection, of being present for someone in a difficult time where you knew that you were used by God. It's that moment of excellence, of spontaneous goodness, of sheer creativity. That outpouring of love, comfort, community. So the three, as we've talked so far, why me, where we don't think at all, it's mentation. By me, where we exercise dominion over our thoughts by thinking consciously, and then through me, where we hold the intention, where we surrender, and where we allow Spirit to express through us. And then there's the fourth, the as me, being consciousness, where nothing blocks your full realization of your oneness with Spirit. In channel consciousness, you witness the Spirit of God operating through you. The power of being consciousness is you are the Spirit of God at work in this world. You're participating with the creation of life around you. You are aware that you are one with all that is. You can't make this happen. It requires grace from the universe. There's no struggle involved when you reach being consciousness. But it does require due diligence. We call it spiritual practice for a reason. When we say our thoughts or prayers, do we live that on a daily basis? It's a wonderful song to play in your head to keep us, help us remember. To exist is to change. To change is to mature. To mature is to go on creating yourself endlessly. We're always changing, growing, and maturing. So I want to encourage you to use this framework of consciousness in your personal lives this next week and ongoing. Notice when you slip into victim consciousness. When you whine, why me? Notice when you're doing the inner work to become that open vessel, there for someone else. When you're becoming even more aware of the divinity within you. Ralph Waldo Emerson once wrote, "There is no planet, sun, or star that could hold you if you but knew who you are." A mighty spirit, one with all that is. Several years ago, my grandmother's 80th birthday, we all gathered together. They rented a ballroom at a local hotel. My uncle did. And there were about 150 people that throughout my grandmother's long life had been a part of her life. And as the celebration came to a close, my uncle stood up and offered a toast to my grandmother, and he said, "Now we're going to sing happy birthday, and I want y'all to sing out. So everybody rise." And so we all started singing happy birthday to you. And by the end of the first line, everybody was looking around. There was this one voice that was so off key that it was almost painful. And that voice got louder as the song went on. And finally the song reaches its crescendo and everybody sits down. And by that time I'd realized it was my niece Kayla, who at the time was 5. And as we all sat down, there's Kayla walking to the edge of the ballroom floor, hands on hips, and she said, "Y'all didn't sing out. He said to sing out." So in closing this morning, how are you doing? Are you singing out in your life without too much attention to whether you're in key or not? All that God is, you are. All the peace, all the love, all the comfort, all the joy, all that God is, you are. This week I invite you to row your boat gently down the stream, to sing out and to be open.